Welcome to today's NC3T Brown Bag Webinar Series. This is Thom Suddreth from the National Center for College and Career Transitions, and I will be your facilitator for today's session. Today's webinar is entitled Project-Based Learning, a Middle School Success. A little bit about NC3T. Our motto is every team with a dream and a plan, and every community with a capable, ready workforce. We do have some printed resources available on your screen from left to right: the Employer Engagement Toolkit, Building Advisory Boards That Matter, and the STEM Leader Guide. Both the Toolkit and the Leader Guide are available on Amazon. The advisory board book is available through the ACTE bookstore. And coming soon, we will be coming out with a Pathways Guide. Today, we are focusing on dynamic teaching and learning as part of our college and career pathway system. With us today on our panel are our presenters, Tammy Russell, the Salmon River Middle School principal with 26 years of experience in education, spent her first 16 years as a pre-K 3rd and 4th grade teacher. Also, we have Danielle Chapman, the Salmon River instructional support teacher, and as she has worked in elementary education for 16 years, before working in instructional support at the Salmon River Middle School. Also, we have Benjamin Barkley, an educator since 2001. Ben has 14 years of teaching experience and has taught at the 3rd grade level for 10 years and the 6th grade level for 4. Also, Janice Santamore, a 6th grade middle school STEM teacher with 15 years of teaching experience. Previously, she was a primary educator teaching a variety of different grade levels. And finally, David Bish. David has been teaching at the Salmon River Central School District for 8 years. He has taught grades 1 and 2, grades 5 and 6. And so today I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar, and I'm going to turn it over to our presenters. Take it away.
This is David. Good afternoon. Getting started. It all starts with an administrator and administration recognizing that the way we're doing things in education needs to change in order to get our students to be college and career ready. Our administration sent 2 of our teachers to the regional STEM hub meetings, and we found out from a lot of manufacturers and businesses that a lot of our students, especially in the North Country, were lacking some of the soft skills needed in order to be successful in the workplace. And this idea of soft skills came up over and over and over again when talking to manufacturers. And a lot of the manufacturers were stating that a lot of these students were coming to them with the know-how, but they had a very difficult time using those soft skills in order to work with others and communicate the results and critically think. So after our administration sent our teachers to this STEM hub, our teachers realized that we needed to change things. So the administration spoke to teachers and started talking to teachers and asking them if they were interested in trying something new, which was the STEM program at the Salmon River Middle School. After the administration talked to the teachers and saw who was interested, it was evident that the administration was going to support the teachers who were going to try this new way of teaching. So our administration also decided to seek out other schools that were implementing a STEM program, and we found the East Syracuse Manoa Middle School was doing a STEAM program, which is similar to STEM but just with an arts component. And with partnerships with other businesses, we were able to go down and observe a STEM program in action. And a huge part of that was the administration getting teachers on board and allowing teachers to say, this is possible. When choosing the team, it's important to remember that you need to be risk takers and you need to work together above all else and really put the kids' education at the forefront of your planning. So once the administration had the teachers on board, buy-in was very easy for us as teachers. We felt supported. And then another aspect was we started talking about common planning time. And we explained to the administration that we could not do this and implement what they wanted us to do without having a common planning time where we could meet for 80 minutes and really get our planning and be on the same page in regards to curriculum and the ways we're doing things. Next slide, please. So once you have the teacher buy-in, professional development is needed. The teaching team, we expressed to our administrator that we need to get trained, and so sought out the Constructivist Conference at St. Lawrence University. And during this conference, we as a team laid out our expectations, our goal setting, our vision for what our program was supposed to be. And in addition, we planned our first unit, which you will hear later about. Of course, we were able to attend the Constructivist Conference with help from SUNY Potsdam's TQLP professional development funding. And while we were there, we continued to work on our curriculum and how we were going to implement this program. In addition to attending to the Constructivist Conference, we also attended, came in for 2 weeks of the summer, and we were able to work on our curriculum. We were able to work on our beliefs and how we wanted to implement our program. And after we were able to do that, we decided as a team we needed to have a parent meeting, and that was one of the most important things that I think we came up for during the planning. Was we had the teacher buy-in, we had the administrative buy-in, now we needed the parent buy-in. So we arranged to have a meeting with parents for the students who were coming into the STEM program to explain the focus of our program, the mission of our program, and how we were doing this for the students to get them to be college and career ready. Another thing that came out of our time together with over the summer was we said we need a framework or a roadmap to how to do this. So we looked into the Buck Institute for project-based learning as the backbone of our program. Next slide, please. So, like I said before, we are using the Buck Institute of Education's framework for our project-based learning. This training is extremely important because as teachers, we found that our roles changed using this roadmap. One thing that's great about this teaching is rather than standing in front of a classroom telling kids about stuff, we are facilitating learning. We are creating questions. We are creating learning activities, and we are creating opportunities for students to interact with real-world professionals. So the students are able to learn using this framework. Great thing about what we're doing is it's all Common Core aligned. That's one thing that's really great because the Common Core is really lending itself beautifully to what we are doing. The great part about this entire project is it's entirely student-driven, with the teacher facilitating instruction and the teacher focusing the children. The knowledge of using driving questions to drive instruction needs to know as a level of inquiry, assessments and self-reflection. All these things, as you can see up here, are things that teachers really need to have a solid understanding of before implementing the STEM program. So anyone who is implementing this type of curriculum, project-based learning from the Buck Institute is a great place to start.
Next slide, please. Hello, everyone. This is Ben. I'll be talking about partnerships. In order for the PBL STEM initiative to be a complete success, you must have partnerships outside of the school setting. As teachers, we have the tools to plan and create major projects, but we need the assistance of our partners to put it all together into a working package. These partnerships have offered connections to other schools with STEM programs, connections to businesses with passionate leaders. They've provided funding for professional development and planning time. They've offered robotics kits and mentors to train our students. They provided hotel and dining accommodations for our trips. We received a $35,000 media grant to develop our newsroom and provide professional development. These people offer knowledge and expertise in fields that we simply don't have the training in. We'd like to simply thank them for their partnerships and contributions. A lot of people often ask, how do partnerships form? It's a simple answer. All you have to do is call, email, or visit them. They're more than eager to be part of the STEM initiative. Next slide, please. According to numerous businesses located in the North Country, our students were being passed over because of a lack of technical skills that David mentioned, along with not possessing the soft skills needed in a career-oriented environment. The technical side's easy to take care of. You attend a technical school and pick up the training. Acquiring soft skills at the age of 20 isn't possible. It doesn't happen overnight. They have to be introduced at the middle school level and integrated into the curriculum. There's a long process in acquiring these skills. They can't be taught once and left alone. They must be practiced and repeated on a daily basis. Our goal by the end of 6th grade is to produce a student who can draft a resume, shake an adult's hand, make solid eye contact, and answer questions effectively in an interview. We also expect our students to be able to problem solve in a group setting, compromise their ideas and ideals, and make sacrifices for the better good of the group. All 6th grade STEM students are expected to have strong presentation skills and show professionalism in career settings. Next slide, please. Our goal is to prepare our students for college and career readiness at Salmon River. That is why we chose to integrate the 4 C's into our curriculum. Our students will be able to think critically. That means outside of the box when problem solving complex issues. They'll be able to collaborate in a group setting by sacrificing individual goals for the betterment of the group as a whole. 2 heads are better than 1, and 4 is better than that. We expect them to be creative, to learn how to stand out from the pack, to be noticed as always moving forward. And we absolutely need them to be strong communicators. You may have a great product with great ideas, but if you can't communicate that to your audience, everything's lost. Next slide, please.
So this is David. So with 21st century skills and soft skills in mind, one thing that we took from we liked at East Syracuse Manoa was the idea of students gathering in a common meeting place at the beginning of the week. Most teachers on a Monday notice their students, they're dragging into the classroom and they're not entirely engaged. So what we decided to do was take an idea from ESM and create the Monday morning meeting. So this is the outline of what a Monday morning meeting typically entails. Greetings, where students will practice soft skills, speaking in front of the entire group, sharing information about themselves, and really practicing those professional skills that we need to reinforce. Another thing that came out of our presentation was the Morning Buzz, which was a student-created news program, usually 3 to 5 minutes long, where a group of students the previous week meet where they create a presentation about previous content taught, local news, sports news, international news, weather, so that they are presenting all this information to their peers. One thing that really lends itself beautifully is our team building, which is going to help with collaboration, where kids have to solve a challenge. It could be as simple as building a spaghetti tower with marshmallows, or as simple as lining themselves up in birthday order without using words. Those things allow students to communicate and work together to solve a problem that can't be solved when we give them the constraint of they can't speak. Like I mentioned earlier, getting kids college and career ready. What better way to get a kid college and career ready than bringing professionals into the classroom we've had different careers. We've had engineers come in. We've had engineers at Bauer Hockey present via video conference during our scientific method project. We've had law enforcement come in. We've had educators come in, administrators come in, different organizations come in to speak to children about, a lot of kids are like, they want to become doctors. Okay, what steps do they need to become doctors? So we bring those professionals in either through video chatting or coming and speaking in front of our students. And the focus is talking about that college and career readiness, what step these students need to take in order to become what they desire. Part of our Monday morning meeting is academic review, typically what we learned the previous week. And then we usually end with teacher and student shout-outs. Teacher shout-outs recognize students not just for academics, but rather other things like outside of school. Like we were talking about how we were totally blown away how students walk up to us now in public and say hello, introduce us to their parents, rather than seeing us and hiding like they did for the previous years. So recognizing students for those wonderful achievements as well. And then, of course, keeping ourselves student-centered, we like to turn it over to the students to recognize each other, teachers, and maybe things that they noticed about other students outside of school, so then really share it. So this is a huge part of our program to reinforce those 21st century skills and soft skills as well.
Next. This is Janice. This slide shows what the first module includes and how it integrates in the 6th grade curriculum. The idea of a Greek festival came from the New York State Common Core ELA module. At the start of the implementation of the module in 2013, a team of 6th grade teachers, our instructional support teacher Danielle Chapman, Kathy Hughes from SUNY Potsdam's TQLP program, and our administrator Tammy Russell sat together at the Constructivist Conference and designed a project that would meet the needs of our curriculum and our implementation of STEM. After reviewing the 6th grade ELA module, it only made sense to create a project that would integrate all curriculums into an event that would allow our students to use the 21st century skills and would incorporate the New York State Common Core learning standards. We took these elements and we began the process of planning that would lead up to our Greek festival. Next. When we enter a project, we go into shutdown mode. Shutdown mode is when all classes shut down and our instructional time is devoted to working on the project. The curriculum for the core classes is woven into the project. Prior to and during our shutdown mode, students work in small groups weekly, completing activities that involve problem solving. These activities allow our students to collaborate, think critically, communicate, and to be creative. The idea behind project-based learning is to reinforce the skills that are necessary in many career fields, so activities are modeled and supported to create success in our projects. Prior to the Greek festival, students prepared resumes, apply for jobs in a real-world setting, and interview. Jobs may include experts on trade, culture, government, architecture, or even engineering. The jobs that are selected are based upon core subject areas and are linked to the New York State Common Core learning standards. These projects have been successful because of the professional support from a local university, Clarkson, journalists from our local newspapers like the Courier Observer and the Malone Telegram, architects, specifically Jim King from King and King Architects out of Syracuse, and engineers from Siemens and Alcoa. People from the real world who see the importance of real-world application in our school. Next. Many components of ancient Greece were on display at our Greek festival. Students created and supported their knowledge of their project on Greek culture, forms of art, architectural design, and Greek performances. A group of students organized an agora. They contacted local businesses that had a connection to Greek history or culture and had them come in to sell their items at our festival. Mr. Bone Steele, our local agriculturalist, made a connection with honey, and people huddled around him as he spoke about honey being a natural resource of Greece. Some wrote scripts, created a cast, made a stage, and performed. We had well over 700 people in attendance. Next. Once the foundation is set and students are able to work together to collaborate their ideas and think critically, the teachers created lessons that continue to teach content and at the same time build lessons that met the criteria for project-based learning. Our objective is to strengthen our students and create better learners, which leads us into larger projects like our science fair and our rescue robot project. The driving force behind our science fair is the scientific method. Students acquire the knowledge of the scientific method to be successful. Students are expected to understand and implement the use of the scientific method as a tool in the discovery of the outcome of their project. Students work in small groups to come up with a project that is useful toward mankind or solve a community issue. Since the inception of our 6th grade STEM program at Salmon River, our students have taken home the top awards at the Ying Regional Science Fair in Syracuse. This year, our top winners received the prestigious Broadcom Masters Science Award. They will compete at the national level in Philadelphia. 3 of our former students have invented, patented, and produced a medical safety feature. It received provisional patent funding from the Shipley Center through Clarkson University. Next. After the success of last year's robotics project, our STEM team decided to continue integrating robotics into our end-of-the-year curriculum. When the idea of this project came to us from Dr. Jim Carroll, we met with our superintendent, and together we chose to create an AgBot due to the agricultural opportunities in our area. Our STEM team developed a robotics unit that would allow our students to create a robot that would carry out 3 missions and would support the world of agriculture. Students designed, created, and promoted their own corporations. The corporations were made up of CEOs, CFOs, researchers, media and marketing, accountants, inventory specialists, builders, and engineers. Students also had a newsroom which published newspapers, had a talk show, and a blog spot to keep the people up to date on what was taking place in each corporation. Next. Each corporation had a budget. The CEOs created brochures to support their corporation. The brochures stated financial reports for the buyers and for the investors. Students worked alongside Clarkson engineering students, received guidance from many career fields, including our high school accountants. Students presented their final projects to a panel of professional judges, and the corporation with the highest ratings were given a contract to further their research and implement their winning robot. This year, we look at our curriculum and decide to integrate and meet the needs of the middle school next generation science standards and the Common Core middle school science standards into our project. Therefore, this year's robotic project will be based on natural disasters. Our students are creating rescue robots. As educators, we investigated possible uses of robots in the real world and found that there is a growing necessity for the use of robots in natural disaster situations where the use of humans has proven fatal in the past. Ensuring human employment is not lost, the robot is only being used to remove the immediate threat of harm and allow rescue workers to complete tasks, having no economic impact on the workers. In fact, these rescue bots will create a new technological field that will produce thousands of jobs. Next.
Hello, this is Ben again. One of the most often asked questions is, how do you assess project-based learning and soft skills? The answer is rather easily. They make rubrics for everything. There are 3 major rules when assessing students with rubrics that have been successful here at Salmon. First, all rubrics should be introduced at the beginning of the project. Students need to know what they're being assessed on. It's only fair. Second, we need to allow for student feedback. Let them tweak the rubric if they don't feel comfortable about something. Plus, it gives them shared ownership in their assessment and accountability. Third, make sure the expectations are clear and posted in your rooms. This makes the students accountable. As you can see from the slide, we've been able to find rubrics that assess anything we want to measure. After going through this process of assessing students on a holistic level, we noticed the exciting outcome in their assessments. They made huge growth compared to their traditional counterparts. Next slide, please. The next 2 slides take a look at the STAR reading and STAR math assessments given periodically to our entire 6th grade student body to measure yearly growth. You'll notice that from fall to winter, our STEM students outperform their counterparts 2-fold. Many people assume that we load our classes with high-end students, but actually the opposite is true. All classes are heterogeneously mixed with various academic levels. Now, take a look at the fall to spring growth made by all students after we pulled the traditional students into the STEM program. It's amazing. The results speak for themselves. Plain and simple, PBL and the STEM initiative work. Next slide, please.
Next slide. Oh, you guys browse at this. These are the math scores.
Thank you. Next slide.
So, why do all this? Simple. It's for the students. We found that the students involved in our program, project-based learning and STEM, their attitude about learning and their attitude about school changed. They were excited to come to school. They were excited to even stay after school and work on their projects because what they were learning was extremely relevant. They had changed the relationship with their teachers and peers rather than the relationship being teacher to student, teacher knows everything, student listens. Teachers and students became partners in education because our projects allowed us to work with students and it allowed us to make learning relevant. The amazing thing is looking at students' attitude change from the beginning of the year about learning to the end of the year, where all they can talk about is what they accomplished and the enthusiasm that they showed and the value that they have for their education. The big payoff for us is hearing students planning for their future, understanding what they need to do in order to be college and career ready, understanding the importance of taking pride in work and having ownership over the work, the importance of working with others, the importance with working with teachers and instructors and people outside of education. The reaction from parents and guardians has been overwhelming. A lot of parents support what we are doing in school. A lot of parents willing to share resources and expertise. Like Mr. Barkley said, partnerships. Sometimes parents are the best partners you have because they work in various business. Bring them in or they can connect you with other professionals. In the end, we are doing this for the students, and the students love it, and they're excited about learning, and they want to be at school, and they want to be ready and be successful for when their time comes to go into the college or workplace. They are ready to go. So this is why we do it. Next slide. Next slide.
Thank you very much.
Very much
Ready for questions.
All right, that brings us to the question and answer part of our webinar. Let me start off with this question, and I'll let you guys decide who's going to answer. But how does your schedule work during the day?
Okay, this is David. Scheduling is something that's extremely important and something to think about. Like I said earlier, administration gives us 80 minutes of common planning time, so that way teachers can meet daily, discuss what's going on in classrooms, so we're able to adjust the schedule. A huge part of our schedule is our teachers sharing time. For example, if I am giving an assessment and I only need 30 minutes out of my 50-minute class, I can give either Ben or Janice time out 20 minutes from my schedule, and I can push into their room and we can team teach the content so that extra content can be learned. And sharing time, and one thing that we learned is we really have to be willing to share and also give up time in order to meet the needs of our students. Our schedule is set out around that 80 minutes common planning time. So we're able to adjust our schedule accordingly so that we'll facilitate team teaching, co-teaching, and sometimes any presentations that the kids have or presentations that are benefiting the program. Example, professionals coming into our classrooms. On Monday, our schedule is adjusted because of our Monday morning meeting. So we have to adjust it accordingly. So it's just that flexibility that we all need to, as teachers, use often and collaborate with your peers and make it work.
Okay, I've got a question from Sheila. How long did it take to get buy-in from the teachers and parents?
This is Tammy Russell. The buy-in was pretty easy at Salmon River because I knew which grade to start with. I knew my enthusiasm and my teachers that would be able to teach all contents without the siloed effect were my 6th grade teachers. So I knew where to start. So I think as an administrator, you need to find which area to start with best that you feel will have the most success. And then by then, the other teachers buy in from the success of the program that they're seeing happening day to day in their building.
Do you do any formal career exploration, such as self-assessment, or does that happen later? This is a question from David.
Well, we do have forms that we have the students fill out that basically try to earmark their skills and try and guide them in a certain direction. For instance, just the way last year we had a student that decided that she wanted to be a news broadcaster, but she wasn't really sure how to do it. Well, after we put her through one of our programs, she understood that these are the courses that I need to take. This is the university that I need to go to. This is the major that I need to get involved in, and these are the people that we need to talk to. So part of the program is, yeah, they take it a self-assessment, they measure what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then they apply for the jobs that they think they're strong at, and then they start to plan and implement, if that's their choice, where they want to go, how to get there. And they can do it at the 6th grade level. It's pretty amazing.
And to piggyback off that, this is David, sometimes students discover fields and skills that they never thought about going into. It's really amazing how a lot of our female students are gravitating more to engineering and the science fields now because of the robotics units. And there is a need for women in those career fields. And when you see these young ladies being excited about programming and engineering and starting to explore that career field, it's really gratifying.
Okay. So how often do you assess your STEM program? Again, from Sheila.
How often do we assess content in the classroom?
Well, the STEM aspect of it.
Well, after each project that we roll out, we basically, at the end of it, we talk about what the successes were, what the failures were, what we want to change next year, what direction we're going in. So after every minor project and major project, we always reevaluate where we're at, how to implement something new and make changes. So it's always ever changing. We're never stuck with the same projects. It always has to change because it depends on the student body and basically what's going on in the real world. We try and adjust it that way as well.
What does the evaluation look like?
The evaluation that we fill out, or that the students?
Well, I mean, when you're evaluating, do you have a rubric that you use for evaluation? Do you have just a discussion? How does that take place?
Well, at the student level with the projects, we have rubrics designed for every part of the project, and the students are assessed using rubrics. I mean, it depends on what room they're in and what their expectations are. We use rubrics to evaluate those students, and then we give those students feedback. As teachers, we just meet and we get up on the chalkboard and start talking about the things that worked and the things that didn't work, and we look at the student growth that they made on their assessments for the year, and then we reevaluate everything and set up a new program for the following month or for the following year.
We also have rubrics on for groups, specific to groups, group work, and specific to individual work. So students are scored on a multiple amount of rubrics throughout the whole project.
And this is David, but one other thing that we started to doing and we took away from the Buck Institute training was the idea of students reflecting on their work and what they have learned and how they are using it for the common good of the project. So every time we are working on a major project, there is an aspect of journaling, content related to what they are learning and how they are contributing into the group. So the kids are constantly being assessed on what they have learned and how they are using it.
Are the students able to contribute to the feedback loop there and to contribute to the assessment of the project?
Absolutely. They have to be the main part. They're the main focus of all the projects. They drive their instruction, so their feedback is extremely important.
Good. Hannah asks, do you have rubric examples that you could share?
Absolutely. If I could get her my email and I could send the rubrics that I use in my social studies and science classroom, and I'm sure Janice and Dave more than welcome, and we can also put you in contact with the Buck Institute to share the rubrics that we borrow from them. But you have to remember that we constantly alter and tweak these rubrics to fit the projects. There's nothing out there that fits perfectly into our program. We as teachers still need to get together and alter those, along with the students.
Sheila asked another question. Thank you, Sheila. Why do you choose 6th grade students for the PBL rather than younger students? And was your selection research-based?
I'm a middle school principal, so I'm only working with grades 6 through 8 teachers. So why I chose 6th grade, because most of the teachers, as you heard in their biography, have been elementary teachers, which elementary teachers are used to teaching all content areas and nothing siloed. So project-based learning, you know, they did have to receive training on that because projects in the elementary are not the same as project-based learning. There's a big difference between the projects we did in the elementary compared to what we're doing in project-based learning. 6th grade, why we chose them over for students is because of the teachers. I knew the teachers would make it happen at the 6th grade level.
And to add to that, in 6th grade, we're asking students to become more independent and to pick up organizational skills and to be able to fend for themselves, and that's the perfect place to slide in your soft skills that the career field is looking for and to add any organizational skills that are necessary. So at 6th grade, it's a perfect fit.
How long have you been doing the PBL or the 6th graders?
We are in our 2nd year.
Have you assessed how is it going to scaffold into 7th and 8th grade as well?
Yes, right now, so this is the first year for 7th grade with the STEM, and the teachers have received the project-based learning training and the Constructivist conference they attended. And 8th grade next year will be going to the Constructivist conference in July at St. Lawrence, and they have received some training through OCM BOCES with the project-based learning. And some of those teachers are going to the Buck Institute training in June here that we're offering. So those teachers are starting to come on board with STEM. So by the end of next year, middle school will be all STEM project-based learning school.
All right. So what is the total number of projects you do per year?
We have 3 major projects. One at the beginning of the year, which is more teacher created and teacher led, and then towards the middle of the year we start to pull back. It's more student driven, and then by the end the students run the entire project. We introduce it and help facilitate. In between, we throw in minor projects depending upon our content and our curriculum.
Are any of the high schools that the middle school feeds doing PBL?
Yes, the project-based learning training that we received throughout the winter, we had 9th grade teachers that attended that training, and this will go from 8th grade with our 8th grade students next year into 9th grade. So yes, they are receiving training and getting on board with this also.
Are they doing it in the same way as far as scaffolding the process in, starting in 9th grade and going up to grade 12?
I can't answer that. I'm not the high school principal.
Okay.
But I don't know. I can't answer that.
All right.
I do have, Danielle Chapman is here, and we have started, next year we will start career exploration, 8th grade. 8th grade that will go into 9th grade. And I do want her to talk about that for a few minutes, please.
Sure.
Hi, this is Danielle. Next year we are implementing what we would like to call freshman success. It will be a 20-week course for 8th graders, and the 3 major questions that they will be answering throughout that course are: who am I, what do I want, and how do I get it? So throughout the course they will be exploring themselves and their identity, and then looking into different careers, and then from there seeing what their major needs to be and then what college they would like to go to. And throughout this course, I mean, they're only 8th graders, and we question why are we doing this so young, but we have to just think about this as a motivational tool to have kids, you know, be motivated to stay in school and to do their best.
All right, very good. Just maybe a couple more questions. How do you incorporate AIS and resource room into your day?
Well, this is Janice. Currently, we're in project mode, and we have set aside 30 minutes daily for AIS and for resource room. And during that time, students get additional help in math or reading. And at the end of the day, we're fortunate that we have a period where not all students are available, but a large majority of them, and we work with them for additional support.
Also, when we're not in project mode, we do set aside 45 minutes to an hour a day to work on reading intervention and math intervention, but that's when we're not in project mode.
And how often is that you're not in project mode?
Usually our first project goes anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks, and then we will teach content and curriculum, and then we'll have our science fair, which is roughly 4 to 6 weeks depending upon weather, and we are in the North Country. And then once again we're back to content, and then at the end of the year we're looking at about a 5-week science unit right now that we're working on. So everything in between is devoted to intervention, but the kids continuously get intervention every single day. It's just the amount of time.
Okay. Is your resource room for families or specifically for students and staff?
Our resource room is designed around our CSE students, students with 504 plans and IEPs.
Okay.
Is that the resource room that you're talking about through special education?
It's not specified in the question there. Just indicates resource room.
It's special education.
Special ed, okay. All right, good. Well, we're almost at the very end of our allotted time, and we want to be good stewards of everybody's time, not only the presenters, but also the attendees as well. I'd like to thank you all for attending today's session, and thank our panel for such a wonderful presentation. We hope you've enjoyed today's session, and we encourage you to join us. I think our next session is in September, best I can recall, but we invite you to connect with us at nc3t.com and sign up for our blog and newsletter. Candace, if you'll give me that other slide back. Hans at nc3t.com and Brett at nc3t.com. Email contacts to contact the principal partners in the company. You can follow Hans Meter at Hans Meter on Twitter. And we have our own YouTube channel, NC3T and Meter Consulting. So thank you again for being part of this. We hope you've enjoyed the webinar. All the attendees will receive a follow-up email along with all of the contact information for the presenters. And we do encourage you to reach out to the presenters for any resources that they may have mentioned during the presentation today, and they will be happy to send those to you. Again, thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.